Hi, I'm Dawn Wink, and I'm here with my mom, Joan Wink. And Mom is here visiting this week in Santa Fe, and we started talking about her book, her latest book, The Power of Story. And I had some questions, and so we just kind of spontaneously grabbed a couch and grabbed Wynn, who's taking this video right now, and are going to talk about her book a little bit. I wrote a couple of dewdrops about this previously, which I'll go ahead and link here with this video. But Mom, tell us about this book. What inspired this book?
Well, let me tell you how it came to be. I received a phone call, and the phone call came from a colleague I'd known for a long time, Sharon Coatney, and she's an editor with Libraries Unlimited. And she had read one of my blogs, Wink World, and one of the blogs was about the Benson kids. And she said it reminded her, the story reminded her of the stories when she used to teach reading in Kansas. And did I want to write a book about the power of story? And I said, yes, I'll do that. So that's how it came about.
Oh, well, and then this whole book, and I have to say it's not just because my mom, this book is awesome. But one of the things that I loved is when you tell how you learned to read and how you learned to love to read. And
okay, well, I learned to read in the exact opposite from the way you learned to read. I learned to read through phonics, the sounds of the letters, and I learned to put the letters together to make words and to build up the words and to build up sentences, sound by sound, letter by letter, word by word, and finally sentence by sentence. So phonics worked for me. But
phonics does not work for me.
No, that's the next
I would
story.
never have learned to read with phonics anymore.
But reading specialists would say I'm a parts to whole reader because I learned the little parts first and I build it up to a whole. So reading specialists would say I'm a parts to whole. That's how I learned to read. However, the problem was I hated reading.
Right.
And I was one of those students who I read every assignment. I got A's. If they told me to do 10 questions at the end, I would never have done 9. I would do 10 and then I'd close the book. But I'd never read a book. The exact opposite of how you learned to read. Want me to tell how you learned to read?
Sure.
Well, I don't know how you learned to read. We were a book with home. We were home with books, and we read to you, and we had books all over. And sometime before kindergarten, you and Bo were both reading, but I don't know when you learned to read, but you were reading. And reading specialists would say you were a whole to parts. You had to see the whole puzzle, put the whole together. You looked at pictures and you told stories. And at that point in life, I didn't understand because it was the exact opposite of how I learned to read. But the irony is, you didn't always do your 10 questions.
No, I did not. No.
And phonics made no sense to you.
Still doesn't.
Nor one of your kids. But you read books from the get-go. You're an avid reader from the get-go.
What like, because when I read this book, I read it as a mom. I read it as a teacher. I read it as an aunt. I read it as a friend. If there, thinking about teachers, thinking about parents
Families.
and grandparents and Grammies and families, what can families do to create a love of reading?
You got to have books in the home. You have to have access to books. You have to take your kids to the library. You have to read. Don't worry just about your kids reading. You have to be seen reading. You have to have books all the time. You have to tell stories. You have to celebrate literacy. I hope you go to your local library and volunteer to read to kids. I hope you go to your local schools and volunteer to read to kids and stay there and work week after week after week. You have to love reading. You have to be curious. It's what you did when your kids were little. They always read to you.
Oh. Anything, Mom, anything that you want to share from the book or from about literacy or life?
Life. I hope it inspires families to read to their kids and to read by themselves and to let their kids see them reading. And I hope it enhances literacy for lots of families. But thank you for asking me. Thank you.